Hi everybody, it's story time and I'm going to be telling you a story about Owl and his friends. The 100-acre wood was abuzz with the bees. Winnie the Pooh and his friends had each received a formal invitation to Owl's house. It read, "Come for tea, announcement of great importance." "Announcement?" said Owl, who enjoyed all sorts of sweet treats. "Why, that's very kind of Owl. Do you suppose that it's a very large mint? And will there be one for each of us?" "Silly old bear," said Christopher Robin. "I think this means that Owl has something to tell us. He's going to make an announcement." "I see," said Pooh. But he didn't. That afternoon, everybody gathered at Owl's house. Though he didn't see any mints, Pooh was content with the tea, biscuits and honey that Owl had provided. Bears love honey. "As you know," said Owl, "I have something important to tell you all. You may have heard me mention a reunion my family is planning. It has taken a long time to get there. We have a rather large family. The need to find a suitable location and a proper menu for all of us." There's Owl talking to all his friends. Owl went on and on in the usual manner. Rabbit stood up. "Owl," he said, "we know all about the reunion you've been planning, every last little detail. But what did you want to tell us? Why are we here?" Owl stopped speaking for a moment. "Why, indeed," he mumbled. "Oh, yes, I know," he said. "The reunion planning all is done. It begins tomorrow. I simply wanted to share the news with you that I'll be gone for 1 whole week." There's Owl talking to all his friends. Rabbit getting a bit frustrated because Owl just kept talking. "Don't worry about us, we're just fine while you're gone," Rabbit assured Owl as he and the others said their goodbyes. As soon as Owl shut the door, Rabbit clapped his hands together with glee. "Oh, don't you see?" exclaimed Rabbit. "We don't have to hear any more long-winded stories from all about his family. Twice removed. In fact, we don't have to hear anything that Owl wants to say for a whole week. Yippee!" said Rabbit. What does that mean? While the others were less gleeful and rather more confused about things than Rabbit, they were all somewhat relieved to not have to listen to their friend go on and on and on about the long-awaited reunion. It had been a bit annoying, and Owl, in his general way of lecturing everyone. So there they all are, talking about Owl leaving them for a whole week. While Owl was away, things went on as usual in 100-acre wood. Rabbit tended his garden, only without Owl looking over his shoulder and talking non-stop about the glorious gardens that his grandmother had made when he was a young owlet. Piglet painted his pictures, but didn't have Owl peering over his canvas, remarking on each painting. Pooh still enjoyed plenty of honey, but didn't have to listen to Owl lecture him about the benefits of exercise. Sometimes Owl had read a little bit too extensively. There he is. That's what he'd normally be doing when Rabbit was doing things, and that's what he'd normally be doing, but he wasn't there this week. It was also quiet at Kanga and Roo's house. Kanga was able to bake in peace without Owl going on and on about the wonderful cook his great-great-grandmother Gladys had been. Roo and Tigger continued to play together often without having to stop for long periods to listen to Owl explain the science behind bouncing and each other's important concepts. And Eeyore managed to rebuild his house again without Owl boasting about his grand homes that his relatives had. One day, after nearly a week had gone by, Rabbit was in his garden. Over the past few days, he had begun to feel a little lonely while he worked. Just then, 2 pesky crows swooped down and began to pick at his plants. They had first arrived the day Owl had left, and now they bothered Rabbit every morning. "Shoo! Shoo!" said Rabbit. After he had managed to wave the crows off, Rabbit thought for a moment. Perhaps Owl was around. It was too noisy. Perhaps when Owl was around, it was too noisy for the crows. Well, Rabbit said out loud, imagine that. So he's thinking that maybe when Owl's there, the crows don't come because it's too noisy. And actually, Owl is keeping the crows away from eating his vegetables. As for Piglet, when he looked at the paintings he had done in the last week, he wasn't terribly pleased. He felt that they were missing something. Said Piglet, eyeing each canvas. Perhaps Owl telling me stories about my painting helps my paintbrush tell better stories. He was missing Owl too. Pooh was still rather enjoying his honey, but he couldn't help but wonder if it tasted rather less sweet without Owl around. I shall have to keep sampling just a little bit more, just in case, he said, pleased that he was about to enter into a type of scientific study that Owl would no doubt approve of. Kanga was finding her housework was taking longer and longer. It was so dull without Owl's company, and now that Roo and Tigger could bounce to their heart's content without Owl's lectures and interrupting them, Roo realized that he got rather tired. There they are. There's Kanga cooking and there's Roo and Tigger. Don't worry, little buddy, said Tigger, bouncing. It's what Tiggers do best. But the 2 friends found that they just weren't having as much fun. Eeyore still managed to rebuild his house, but he definitely missed having Owl around. Seems like more work without the words, he said with a sigh. There's Eeyore and Tigger and Roo. Everyone began to wonder when exactly Owl would be coming home. The next morning, as Pooh licked the last of his breakfast honey off his paws, he realized that he wasn't quite sure if a week had gone by. Then he realized he wasn't quite sure how long a week was actually. Pooh started to walk over to Owl's house to see if his friend had perhaps returned already. He found Rabbit, Kanga and Roo there. They had been wondering the same thing. Before long, Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger joined the others. But there was no sign of Owl. There they all are, at Owl's house. Owl lives in the tree. Remember, owls live in trees. Does anyone know if Owl had been gone for a whole week? Asked Pooh. It certainly feels like a week to me, said Piglet. Why, it's more than that, I'm sure, declared Rabbit. He thought for a minute. What if Owl decides he'd rather stay with his relatives than come back? That's impossible, said Tigger. Isn't it? Tigger looked round to see a bunch of very uncertain faces. Oh, we do miss our friend. There they all talking. Is Owl going to come back? Everyone began to smile. Oh, sorry, I missed a page. Suddenly, the 100-acre wood was quieter than ever. Everybody was thinking the same thing. Owl could be annoying at times, but having no Owl at all was completely unacceptable. Just then, Christopher Robin came down the path. leading to Al's house. He was pulling his red wagon, which was piled high with gifts, and walking beside Christopher Robin, talking up a storm, was none other than Al himself. So there's the animals wondering if he's going to come back, and there he is with Christopher Robin. Everybody began to smile, in some cases bounce. I think that was Tigger. Welcome back, Al, they all shouted as loudly as they could. Al stopped talking. He was so touched by his greeting that he was something he had never ever had before. Sorry, let's try that again. Al stopped talking. He was so touched by this greeting that he was something he had never ever been before. He was speechless. He couldn't talk. When he could finally talk again, Al said, "Well, it appears that you missed me after all." Look at them all. They all missed him and they were so happy to see him. And Al was so pleased that they missed him. "We thought you had enjoyed your reunion with your family far too much that you wouldn't come back," said Pooh. Al shook his head. "Oh, it was splendid. The reunion was splendid," he said. "But stay with my family? Never. They talk too much." "Welcome home, Al," said Rabbit happily. "Now tell us all about your trip." And Al did for the next week. He told them every single day. Wasn't that a fun story? Friends are special, and we're missing you lots and lots and lots. And all your friends are missing you. And I think we're going to be a little bit like all the friends in 100 Acre Woods. I think we're going to be so happy to see each other when we come back to school. I can't wait. Friends are special. We have to say thank you, God, for our friends, especially for our friends at school. Bye.